It's incredible. And then, I mean, it's it says 1% of the population are people like this. 1%. And so they're
Are they the top 1%?
probably if they're running things.
Yeah.
Really, people in power.
Yeah. Well, we won't go there.
We won't go there.
Well, I mean, it's part of it is an
might
advantage.
not be that they're killing people, but they're maybe not
They're
doing
manipulative.
well by people.
I mean,
so.
it definitely becomes an advantage to lack empathy when you're whatever business or you're, you know, even if you're like a football player and you lack empathy, it's probably an advantage because you're right. You can just do your job and not be weighed down by feeling bad for people. You know.
Yeah.
Right. They're thinking about their big paycheck at the end.
Yeah.
I did want to make one more point. When the police finally caught on to what he was doing and they did an investigation.
Well, he was arrested by the Pinkertons, the Pinkerton Detective Agency, which is a kind of a famous.
And that
was kind of cool.
They were in Philadelphia.
They're the ones that found him.
Right.
They're the ones that.
Right.
Because he was kind of on the run.
Yeah, they
And
went
that's the
across
ones
the
that-
country trying to find him, right?
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
they go everywhere he was?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the insurance company that was investigating him for Peitzel was Fidelity
Oh.
Mutual or something.
something. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I wonder if it's the same
Same company.
that we have today. I don't know.
Hmm.
But when the police finally caught on and they were investigating this house of horrors, they found bones of hundreds of victims. There were vats of acid that they found. And basically, because of that find, that's how he became known as the American Ripper, Dr. Death, because of all of that stuff that they found in the basement.
Right, and part of this biography thing that we were talking about, they're going to exhume. They're going to actually where his building was. They're going to dig down and explore in that
See if
area.
there's more down
see if they
there.
can find more stuff.
Right, and the building is no longer there.
There's a post office there, but where the building footprint was, it's a parking lot and a yard.
Okay.
So they're going to dig in there, which I don't be kind of interesting.
I bet that post office is haunted.
Could be.
Man, all the people that died such horrible deaths. Yeah, you met.
Yeah.
I mean, if there is a haunting, if there's ghosts, then there's got to be ghosts. That would be the place for
I wouldn't
sure.
want to be in that building.
No.
No.
Me either.
Well, you
Good thing
imagine
it's just
there's.
a bank and you don't have to live
I would
there.
definitely like to hear because he didn't kill everyone he came in contact with. So there must have been people that stayed there, or maybe even narrowly escaped, or unwittingly escaped.
Unwittingly.
Just
Because if
got up early one morning and left, and he was right. And
Well,
so
they
there's
said
all that.
they had apartments on the third floor, which was perfectly fine. It was the second floor that
Right.
you didn't want to be on. That's where people stayed, and that's where they got killed. Was the second floor. Third floor, they had people living there.
Right.
So they had apartments, and they were living there for a
And he
while.
soundproofed it so that I guess they couldn't hear
Yeah,
people
so
screaming.
he did put asbestos in the walls, so it soundproofed the second floor.
Right.
Right.
So people couldn't hear what was
that
going
Julia
on.
Connor, who worked in the retail store, who he killed, and lived there on the third floor with her husband. So we know that there were people that lived there.
Yeah.
And then when he had the affair with
Yeah.
her, that was the kiss of death. She, I guess maybe she signed things
Well,
over
she got
to him.
pregnant. That was, I guess, her ultimate downfall.
If she really got pregnant, he might have just said that to cover up his murder of her.
Okay, yeah.
And
Right. Everything
don't
could be a
know.
lie.
Yeah.
Basically, everything could be a lie.
I know the sisters, the Minnie and Nanny Williams, he had an affair with Minnie. She signed over a lot of land that she had to him. And
She was going to get an inheritance, right?
yeah. And he claimed that Nanny killed
Minnie.
Minnie in a fit of jealousy.
Hmm.
Who knows what the truth is? We'll never know. But
But it's a very interesting story.
it is interesting. And to
Yeah.
think that people actually did those things, and he did those things, is just boggling.
Yeah, I think
Right.
diabolical. He was definitely diabolical.
Oh,
Right,
because
and-
it took years to make that building. It took years for him to
Oh yeah, he had to plan this
do
thing out,
everything.
create all this stuff, and he was
Yeah.
only 35 years old when he, right, when he
Yeah,
died.
when he
Wow.
died.
When he was home,
Shows
or
how.
supposedly died. Apparently,
Yeah,
he didn't die,
he
but
didn't. But it just shows how brilliant he was.
Yeah.
In spite of being
Diabolically
crazy.
brilliant, yeah.
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 and then to be able to show up in the world and appear to be just a nice, successful, good-looking guy, and then have this totally dark side. It's just scary as heck about
It is.
it's just scary that that can happen to a person, and there are people like that. And then it's also scary that you wouldn't want, you have your own mental breakdown or something, right? That you could, that
that.
something like that could be possible for humans. It's scary in many
Well,
levels.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
Born evil
Yeah.
or made evil.
Right.
Now we know that in reading about him, his childhood wasn't horrific. He had a strong disciplinarian, his father.
Right.
His mother was super religious. And there was some information about when he was a boy in school, he was bullied. And he was bullied because he was smart. And the kids didn't like that. They were jealous of him, and
Right. They made him like go into. Didn't they like put him in front of a skeleton or something?
Yeah.
Made him stand there. And
Yes,
Yeah.
at the school. At the school.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
There was like a medical.
It was the teacher, though. It wasn't the kids, was it?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I thought it
I
was
think
the kids
that
were
the whole-
involved. They like
I thought it
put
was.
him in a room with a skeleton.
I
and
thought
made
it
him
was
stay in
the
there.
school,
Locked
and
him in
that's
there.
how they taught the kids to overcome their fears.
No, I think it was part
No,
of
he
bullying.
claimed that afterwards. He claimed that it helped to overcome his.
Okay, but it was the
Yeah,
kids. I
that's
thought
right.
I
I just.
thought it was the kids that were part of it, but he
yeah.
did.
I might
but
just
apparently
assume it was
he
the
helped
school.
with the doctor. There was a doctor that he worked with.
in that school.
No,
No.
it was. They were in that I think it was the biography one. They went back to where he grew up, and they were going through the archives. And they said that the school where he lived, and there was this doctor's office and the school were all like in a close areas. It's up in New Hampshire, this old New England town, that
Right.
small New England town where all things were kind of like centrally located, and he lived right there. And he
Okay.
apparently helped this doctor, and that part of got his interest in anatomy and that's my understanding. But
Yeah.
Well, considering how much he was involved with being in Philadelphia, and we're from Philly. That Moors, and they never talk about that in the history of Philly. I mean, they talk about other things like
Right.
famous historians like
Right.
Benjamin Franklin and
Right.
William Penn.
It's not
and-
like the trial of the century or anything.
But it was back then. It was. So, but it's never, I never really associated it with Philadelphia until I started, looking into
well,
it.
yeah, they definitely. I mean, this thing is going on. I mean, there's people that abduct people, and then they lock them in the basement and they keep them down there, and they don't build a big elaborate one like this, but they build some kind of right.
Yeah,
that
torture
happens all the
chamber
time.
in a
You hear,
house.
you hear about it, right?
Right.
That people maybe escape or they.
And
they
we've
keep
had
these-
some in Philadelphia area
Yeah.
that have been on the national news. So not that we're proud of it, but it is freaky to know that could be something in your neighborhood that you just don't know about.
Right. And it could be, they haven't really focused on or talked about it in the history of Philly because it was so long ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I never knew.
But for him to be the first maybe serial killer, I'm surprised I haven't heard anything. When Vicky,
I like Ricky.
when
Ricky's
Vicky
the
brought that
nickname.
to our attention,
Your alias.
I never heard of H.H. Holmes. So
Yeah, I never heard
Yeah.
of him either.
Yeah. Me either.
yeah,
And,
so interesting stuff.
One thing that was interesting, I thought too, is looking at the old pictures of that time period, and the way people dressed. Everybody had a hat on. They all wearing the
Yeah.
long. Everybody's wearing black and white. Or everyone's wearing like long black coats, and every man has a hat on.
Yeah,
All the women have
what
hats
do you call
on.
those
Yeah.
hats?
Derbies.
Derbies.
They got a little derbies.
Yeah, not that. It was a little
Just
different.
chef hat, but yeah, they got the round
Right.
bollard hat. I think
And
they
when
call
they
them.
show the crowds,
Yeah.
like the
See
scenes
what
of
happens.
the people that went to the World's Fair.
Right.
In the summer, everybody was dressed and they were all packed together, and how they didn't die from heat exhaustion, I don't know.
Right, they were tough, I guess.
Yeah, but
Like, yes, we are
interesting.
probably soft because we have the air conditioning and,
Right.
you know,
Modern
get rid of
luxuries.
as many clothes as you can when it comes to be 90
Right.
degrees outside, and they're just trucking along in
Yeah.
their long dresses and hats and everything else, and probably didn't even sweat.
I know.
But no, it was just so necessary to wear a hat. Like, it was just like, that was society.
that was
Right.
the
Yeah, that's what
rule.
you have to do. You have to wear a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, I'm assuming we're doing stuff now, and 100 years from now, they're going to look back and say, well, first of all, we'll be tough because they'll have even more maybe luxuries, right? Or and how we're going to look to the people in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, my husband always says I'd never survive in the pioneer days because I don't have that stuff. I'm not rugged.
Grit?
Rugged.
I'm not
yeah.
rugged
Rugged grit.
enough to do that.
I just,
He would have been if he had to live back then. but-
Maybe, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't
it's just
know.
hard to imagine that a person like this
Is he,
Walking the
lived.
streets.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where his grave is. Whether they buried him in Philadelphia, I have to look into Jeff Mudgett's stuff to
Right,
see
I would think he-
where it is.
Yeah, I would think it'd be in New Hampshire, but
He came from New
near
Hampshire.
his family.
Is
but-
that where they hung him in New Hampshire or in
That's another.
Philadelphia?
Well, they tried him in Philly,
Yeah.
but
That's where they would have put him to death, because whenever you're tried and sentenced, that's where you die. If you're put to death. Like in Texas, they
and
say,
people came
you-
people came to watch it.
Yeah.
That's another creepy thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why would I mean?
I
I guess it's kind of like a car accident, where it's hard to turn away from it, but with a
Yeah.
with a
Well,
hanging,
they had
you
to
have
actually go
you
there.
have to actually
though.
go there, right? That's what I'm saying. You
Yeah,
have
it
to
didn't
go
just
there.
happen in front of their eyes.
Well,
and
they
maybe it's a
didn't-
deterrent,
They
too.
didn't have Netflix and they
This is
this
true.
was their
There was
entertainment.
zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were. I guess they didn't have movies, or did they
No.
have movies?
Were silent films out then?
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
1890s. That's when they invented the bicycle now.
Is it really?
Yeah, in the that was the golden age of bicycle.
Really?
Yeah,
The
18.
one-wheeled unicycle?
Well, the bicycle evolved, and it was only like a 20-year period. They started out with just called velocipedes, where had a little toddler bikes where you
Yeah.
just sit on, you run.
Yeah,
That's what they started with, and then they put pedals on the front wheel. And then they started making the front wheel bigger so you can go faster because
Right.
and also the bigger wheel was a softer ride. But then they invented the chain drive, and that happened in that time period. That was the golden age of bicycles.
So that's like our bicycles now. That's basically the prototype to our bicycles now.
Well, the penny farthing was the first thing they called a bicycle. But then when they came out with the chain drive and the what they call a double triangle frame, that's the same exact thing we got today.
Okay.
That's
So
interesting.
that happened in that time period. The bicycle, it was a big thing. I mean, everybody had them because it was a great means of transportation and fairly cheap, right?
And cars were around back then, no?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
they were not
Not the
cars-
same.
Ford was around in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they weren't as
Right.
widely.
It wasn't. But it wasn't all
And they weren't
horse and
very
wagon
reliable either.
at that point. They did start using a motor to get people from here to there, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, they knew they had trains. I mean, I don't know about
Yeah.
how
That's-
widespread cars were at that point.
Probably
I didn't
not
see
very.
any cars in any of the pictures.
No?
I'm looking from this time period.
Yeah.
I don't know how cars started coming on the scene. The other thing is they didn't have indoor plumbing. Indoor plumbing didn't start until the 1920s.
Okay. Maybe that's when
my house in Phoenixville did not have indoor plumbing. It was built in 1900. Did
Really?
not have indoor plumbing. Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, what did
And
you
right
do?
around the corner,
Yeah, what did you do, Keith?
went out back and pooped in a hole.
You had an outhouse? Or no,
I
just
mean,
a
they
hole?
put it in.
Yeah, backyard with a
I mean,
hole.
when my house was originally built, it had no bathroom. Didn't have a bathroom.
Okay.
It was all put in after the fact.
Yeah.
They put it in afterwards, but they didn't start doing that until the 20s.
That's funny.
Until they put
That's,
sewers
so-
in. And
that's
stuff.
why my husband said I couldn't.
so in Mudgett's-
I hear
Yeah.
you talking about
And
that.
and
Old
Holmes'
outhouse in the middle of the snowstorm going
Well,
to the
Ew, and who
bathroom.
knows what's in the
Well, I
hole?
can tell you that
Right.
in Holmes' house, they didn't have bathrooms in there.
No, in that big building.
They didn't have indoor plumbing until
What did
they
they?
didn't start doing it until the 1920s. I looked it all up because anyway, it's a whole nother story. But
I'd like to see, maybe they had other kinds of chutes for
Yeah.
for that.
I guess you probably used a pot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
that's what they did.
And then
That's what they did.
Yeah.
That's true. You can't have the
Yeah.
whole apartment building
Going
trying to go to the
outside,
bathroom. Yeah.
I remember
Time.
seeing stories about early days of New York where they would take the pots and throw it out the window. They would throw their.
Oh, gosh. Yeah,
So-
you can't go out back right now. 212 is using the backyard. in the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah.
right in the
Take your
winter.
number. Get a number.
A lot of holes
I
in
mean,
that
can you
backyard.
imagine that? You had like a bowl in your room, and you.
Oh, God.
Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah.
Right, but in the winter, you're not gonna.
Oh,
I guess, but well, what are you gonna do? I mean, if people do it, you have
What
to
do
do
the
it.
animals do?
What do the animals do? They're
exactly.
fine,
Yeah.
right?
Cats their cat litter,
Yeah.
take away.
Yep.
Yeah.
They figure it out. So, yeah, we are a little
Sorry about that. Well, it's an interesting connection there, but
Yeah.
I don't
We
know.
digress.
Digress.
So,
Well,
let's
it's
go
fun
back.
too.
Yeah, it is
Fun
because
too.
it takes you on different paths.
The things
And,
you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
normally think about.
Yep.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. So, anything else we want to add to the story?
No, I don't think that's all I got. Other than, it's very interesting the psychological profile of these people,
Yeah.
and then it's a very interesting thing, and to learn about that.
Right.
Yep.
And I think we'll continue with Jeff Mudgett and see where his journey takes him to and what we can find out about information
Which
about
is
Holmes.
totally amazing that he's investigating his great grandfather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
Great grandfather is a mass murderer.
Yeah.
That's got to be hard to take a little bit,
Yeah, I wonder how he found that out. That
Yeah, and
might be in that
whose
story.
child was his ancestor? Like, who was the woman? Was it one of these women that
His
died?
grandmother, they mention it in there.
Do they?
Yeah. They mention it. Yeah, they mentioned in the first episode the grandmother. They
I
show you.
remember.
They show a picture of her.
And who was
They
she though
call her.
to Holmes? Was she one of these women? One of the wives? What?
He was one of his wives. Yeah, he's had. Yeah.
Was she?
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. That's interesting.
Because he had children. He did have children.
Yeah, he did have children.
Right.
He did with at least two of his wives. He had children. I
Okay.
don't think with the last one.
That's another trait of a serial killer and psychopath is they have many relationships, many short-term relationships, many
Yeah.
short-term marriages too.
Hmm.
I was reading that in the diagnostic
Right.
list there.
So
But
Yeah, and that's interesting to find out. Do they find out about them? Do they see their true colors after a while, and that's why they take off? Like, you just don't know.
I think he was still married to all
well,
three
and they're
women.
very good at gaslighting people. I mean,
Yeah.
they gaslight the heck out of people. You can't tell, and that's why it's a hard condition to diagnose, and it's almost impossible to treat because they just gaslight the heck out of people, and
Yeah,
and they're so believable and so convincing. And part of it is because I think they believe it too.
And do you think they? Well, I
They're not
do.
like-
in watching other things, they do target specific people.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, certainly.
Someone that is going
Yeah.
to.
People that are needy,
Yeah.
don't have a low self-esteem or are in trouble or
Empathetic.
Yeah.
People.
well, and they're
People that possess traits that they don't have.
Yeah.
They kind of use that to.
Right.
To their
right.
advantage.
People that are empathetic, that's why they can portray themselves as victims, and that draw, and that's very attractive to somebody that is empathetic, right?
Yeah.
Because anyway, but it's wild.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's wild.
For sure.
All right, so I guess we're done with H.H. Holmes. We will revisit it though with once we get a chance to take a look at the documentary for his great-grandson, from his
Yep.
great-grandson.
Some descendant.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Great-great-grandson.
I don't know.
Yeah,
the
and we'll
level,
bring what we find out from that as well. So,
Great.
okay. And until next time, we'll say
Bye.